Morning.
And welcome to Hollywood. Today you are actually going to embark on being a Hollywood producer. And last week we spent some time on Romeo and Juliet. Some of you moaned, some of you groaned, some of you loved it, some of you liked it. So, one question someone said is, what does this have to do with us? So, as a Hollywood producer, you're going to actually take the Romeo and Juliet story, and you're going to turn it into a movie script. Now, the trick is you have to turn it into like a modern day version. You're not going to take the whole entire, play, but you're actually just going to take a portion. You're going to take a scene. So, let me take you to the Webquest so you can take a look at it. You're going to rewrite Romeo and Juliet. Now, I'm going to give you a handout with all this information and a link to the Webquest so you'll be able to access it once you get home, play around with it a little bit, see what I require from you. Now, the actual task, you're going to actually rewrite it, as I said before, and you're going to pitch your ideal to the class. The class, you're going to play as if you have the power to make this a movie or flop it and put it to the back. So, as a group of 4, you're going to actually take on different roles, and each person is going to have a part. We're going to get to that soon. And you're going to actually come up with the idea to actually pitch this to Hollywood to see if they'll play it in those big old AMC movie theaters. Step 1. You're actually going to pick a scene, and I've selected some scenes for you. As when you get your group of 4, which I have selected for you, so that, once again, you won't pick friends. I have selected groups for you. You're going to actually pick a scene, pick an act that you see here, and then after you pick the act, you would have to pick a role. Now, in these roles, one would play the historian, one would play the linguistic, one would actually take on the artistic design, and then another person would actually take on, and then another person would take on another role. So step 2, once you pick your scene, you have to pick a setting. Where do you want to take the Shakespearean version and translate it to? You have the Wild West. You have the 1920s Chicago. You have 1950 suburbia, and you have the 1960 counterculture. Now, if someone comes to Sean and say, "Hey, Sean, I know everything about you by looking at you," is that a true statement? No. No. There's more to Sean than what we see, correct? So if I was to play this video here to see if you're familiar with it. Now, how many of you remember that movie? Raise your hand. Kate, what movie is that?
Chicago.
There's more to Chicago than the movie Chicago, right? And there's more to the Wild Wild West than what's the song? The Wild Wild West. Remember that song? So there's more to the Wild Wild West than just the song. There's more to Chicago than just the movie. So you're going to have to embark on some rules. One of you are going to take each of these roles. One is going to be a director, historian, as I said before. You're going to take on a role. The first role that you see here, your job is, since we read the story Romeo and Juliet, your job is to go back in, look at the scene, and you're going to pick out terms that you felt as though was difficult for the class. Once you pick out those terms, you're going to actually research, define the Shakespearean term, see what it's about, what did it mean to the Shakespearean culture, and then you're going to have to transform it into, once you pick the time period, what you see. So if you pick Chicago, you take that term, see what it may have meant in Chicago time. Anybody? Any questions so far? Alrighty. Then you're going to move on. The artistic designer will actually do your designing of whatever you want to present to the class, because you're going to actually have to create a PowerPoint presentation to pitch your ideas. We want visuals. So your artistic designer will actually design your PowerPoint presentation. And here's the description here. And I also left a few questions for you to think about as you go through this process for each role you would take on. Then we have the director. You're in charge of actually setting the scene, setting up how you would want to make the scene. And then we have the historian who's going to go into these time periods which you have chosen, research it, see what it's about, what foods did they like, what clothes did they wear. As you see in Chicago, they wear clothes that we would never even think to put on today, correct? So you would actually go back in, look at those time period, and then bring that back to your group. Now, how would you be evaluated? You will be evaluated as a group and as an individual. That's the fair way to do it. Now, being as though you're going to be presenting as a group, please do not get up here as a group and work individually. And that looks like this. Hi, my name's Kate, blah, 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 blah. Hi, my name's Talisha, blah, blah, blah. Hi, my name's Brother Paul, blah, 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 blah. And hi, my name's Tori, blah, blah, blah. Now, as you just saw, you came up as a group, but you work individually. You want to come up as a group and you want to complement each other. So that's a key thing that I'm going to be looking for as a group. Are you complementing each other? Then, based off your individual work and the roles that you play, and how much research you put into it, and if you answer the questions that I have gave you to guide you through the process, see if you answer them, then you will be evaluated as an individual. Fair enough? Alrighty.